Four towns feed Central Bucks East, one of the top-ranked public high schools in the state. Same school, but the price, taxes, and feel of each town are not as similar as you'd think. Here's what catches families off guard. The boundary lines don't follow township borders. Buy on the wrong side of the street, and your kid gets routed to a different high school entirely. I'm Jim Stevenson, a realtor here in the Philadelphia suburbs and a CB East alum. So I've watched these four towns change for over 20 years. Here's what the numbers actually look like right now. Central Bucks High School East sits in Buckingham Township. It pulls from four municipalities: Buckingham, Warwick, Plumstead, and parts of Doylestown Township. Same school district, same district millage rate, but the monthly cost of living in each one is more different than what most people expect. And the day-to-day feel of each town is worth knowing before you pick one. I'm going to walk you through all four. I'll start with pricing and what people are actually paying in taxes, not just what the millage rates say on paper, but what recent buyers are really writing checks for. Then I'll show you the feeder pattern trap that catches families every single year. And I'll finish with what daily life looks like in each town so you can figure out which one actually fits. Let's start with the money. Buckingham Township is the most expensive way in. I just pulled the last 3 months of closed sales. A 4-bedroom detached home on Cloverly Drive sold for $625,000. A 4-bedroom on Mountain Laurel Drive sold for $985,000. A 6-bedroom on Forest Grove Road went for $1.56 million. The bulk of what's trading in Buckingham right now falls between $580,000 and $1 million. But here's what makes Buckingham interesting on the tax side. The millage rate is just 4.75. That is incredibly low. And if you're not from Pennsylvania, let me quickly explain what that number means. Your property tax bill here is built from 3 layers: the county tax, the school district tax, and the municipal tax. Each one is measured in mills. 1 mill equals $1 of tax for every $1,000 of assessed value. The school and county rates are the same no matter which of these 4 towns you live in. The part that changes is the municipal rate, the township piece, and that's where the gap gets interesting. Buckingham's total combined millage is 178.75. Doylestown Township's total combined millage is 195.85. That's a 17 mil difference, which on paper looks like it should save you a ton of money in Buckingham. But here's what actually happens when you look at real closings. That 4-bedroom in Buckingham that sold for $985,000 on Mountain Laurel Drive, the annual tax bill is $9,613. That's about $801 a month. A 4-bedroom in Doylestown Township on Brinker Drive that sold for $1,021,000, the annual tax bill is $10,679, about $890 a month. That's roughly $89 a month difference on homes that are close in price. Real money over time, but not the dramatic gap you'd expect from a millage rate that's 4 times higher. And here's the reason. Assessed values in Bucks County don't move in lockstep with market prices. The county uses a fractional assessment system, and the assessed value on your tax bill can look nothing like what you actually paid for the house. A home that sells for $985,000 might be assessed at $53,000. A home that sells for $1 million next door might be assessed at $58,000. Those numbers were set at different times under different conditions, and they don't update automatically when a house sells. So the millage rate matters, but it's not the whole story. What actually matters is the assessed value on the specific home you're buying, and the only way to know your real tax bill is to look it up parcel by parcel. This is the exact math I walk through with every family before they start making offers. The reason Buckingham's rate is so low comes down to density. The township is 33 square miles of mostly preserved land and low-density housing. Less density means less infrastructure to maintain. Large portions of the township run on well water and septic, not public, water and sewer. So you save money on the tax bill, but you take on the responsibility of maintaining a well and a septic system. If you've never dealt with that before, it's not a deal breaker, but it's something you need to budget for. Doylestown Township is the opposite model. The 21.85 rate pays for a big park system, miles of paved trails connecting neighborhoods, public water and sewer, and just a higher level of built infrastructure across the board. In Buckingham, you're paying for privacy and preservation. In Doylestown Township, you're paying for convenience and access. Now let me give you the price picture for the other 2 towns. Warwick Township, most people just call it Jamison. A 4-bedroom on Spruce Court just sold for $830,000. A 4-bedroom on Waverly Drive sold for $761. A 4-bedroom on Brook Lane went for $625. The bulk of detached family homes in Jamison are trading between $625 and $860. Tax bills on those homes are running roughly $6,200 to $9,800 a year, depending on the assessed value. Plumstead Township, the Pipersville area, is your lowest barrier to entry. A 4-bedroom on Kratz Carriage Road just closed at $835. A 3-bedroom townhome on Lincoln Alley went for $555. A 5-bedroom on Durham Road sold for $1.187 million. There's a wider spread here, but you're generally getting more land for the dollar than anywhere else in the CBE zone. Now here's the part that changes your decision, and this is where I see families make expensive mistakes. Not every home in these townships routes to CB East. I need you to hear that again. Just because you buy in Doylestown Township or Plumstead does not mean your child goes to Central Bucks East. The feeder patterns in this district are split zoned at the elementary level. Here's what that means. Buckingham Elementary and Cold Spring Elementary feed into Hollycong Middle School, which routes directly to CB East. Clean path, guaranteed. Warwick Elementary also feeds Hollycong, clean path to East. If you're buying in those attendance zones, you're locked in. But Linden Elementary in Doylestown Township is split. Part of that zone feeds Hollycong and East. The other part feeds Lenape Middle School and CB West. Bridge Valley also split. Groveland Elementary in Plumstead feeds into Tohickon Middle School, which itself splits between East and West. These boundaries don't follow township lines. They cut right through subdivisions. 2 houses on the same street can feed different high schools. I was sitting with a family relocating from out of state not too long ago. They kept saying Jamison and Doylestown like those words automatically meant CB East. So I pull up the district attendance maps and start checking addresses from listings they'd saved. One of the homes they loved was in Warwick Township. They're excited, already talking about the backyard and the finished basement. Then I show them the parcel map. That house routes to CB South, not East. Now look, CB South is a great school, but it wasn't the one they'd been planning around. Dad closed his laptop and just looked at his wife. They didn't say anything for a good 10 seconds. That's what you're dealing with here. You don't buy the town, you buy the street. And if you want help applying this to your situation, schools, commute, your monthly payment, book a call using the link in the description. Or grab my free Philadelphia Suburbs relocation guide using the QR code on screen. If CB East is your target, you verify the school assignment at the parcel level before you make a move. Not the township, not the zip code, the specific address, elementary, middle, and high school, all 3. So now that you know the money and the feeder map, let's talk about what daily life actually feels like in each town, because this is where families start to figure out which one's actually theirs. Buckingham is rural, full stop. There's no downtown, no walkable center. You're driving for everything, groceries, restaurants, school drop off. The landscape is more rolling hills, horse farms, preserved open space. Peddler's Village in Lahaska is the closest thing to a cultural hub, and it's more of a destination than a daily stop. People who live in Buckingham chose it because they want privacy, acreage, and quiet. It consistently ranks as one of the safest places in the entire state. If your priority is space and seclusion with top schools, Buckingham is the answer. But if you need a coffee shop you can walk to, this isn't it. Warwick is the opposite end of that spectrum. This township was built for family life. They've got one public park for every 1,800 residents, playgrounds, pickleball courts, trail networks, youth sports leagues everywhere you look. The commercial strip along York Road has everything you need day to day. Grocery outlet just opened. There are solid local spots like Paradiso. And Safewise just ranked Warwick the 4th safest city in Pennsylvania for 2026. If you're a family with young kids and you want a neighborhood where they're outside playing every day with other kids on the block, Warwick was built for exactly that. Doylestown Township gives you the best of both worlds. If you can handle the tax hit, you're minutes from downtown Doylestown Borough, which means the Mercer Museum, the Michener Art Museum, independent restaurants, boutique shopping, all of it. The township has a big trail network. The 202 Parkway Trail, the Neshaminy Greenway, that connects neighborhoods to parks and green space. And you're right next to the SEPTA Doylestown station, which is at the end of the line. That means you're basically guaranteed parking, guaranteed a seat, one train straight into Center City in about an hour and 13 minutes. If you commute to Philadelphia, that's a massive deal. Plumstead is your quiet card, and full disclosure, I grew up in Pipersville, so I know this one from the inside. It borders state parkland, Part of Pipersville feeds into Central Bucks and routes to East. The other part belongs to the Palisades School District entirely. So if CB East is the goal, you're checking that address even more carefully here. You've got High Rocks for rock climbing, Tinicum Park along the Delaware River, and the township runs a seasonal ice rink at Landis Park that's literally built into a stormwater basin. That tells you everything about the personality here. Practical, unpretentious, outdoorsy. The Plumstead Inn has been around since 1751, and the food is legit. The trade-off is distance. You're 8 to 10 miles from Doylestown Borough, furthest from the train, and if you're commuting to Philly, you're adding real time to your day. If you work remotely, Plumstead is a gold mine. If you have to be in Center City 3 days a week, the drive on 611 is going to wear you down. One more thing, and this connects back to what I said earlier about how much has changed since I went to school here. Starting in the 2026-27 school year, Central Bucks is rolling out a massive realignment. Full-day kindergarten at every elementary school. Elementary goes from K through 6 to K through 5. Middle school shifts to 6th through 8th. High schools pick up 9th grade and go 9th through 12th. The district is spending about $45 million on high school expansions and classroom additions to make the realignment work. And on top of that, they've approved $235 million in renovations to the oldest elementary schools. That's Buckingham, Warwick, Gaiman, Barkley, and Titus. Though that piece is paused right now while they watch the bond market. Either way, the investment is massive. And for myself and my wife, having a 4-year-old who's going into kindergarten next fall, it's huge. When I was at East, 9th grade wasn't even in the building. That's how different this is going to look. What this means for buyers right now is real. Families who are waiting until 1st grade to move into the district because there was no full-day kindergarten, that reason goes away next year. Demand is going to pull forward. In a market that already has about 1.6 months of inventory, when a balanced market needs 4 to 6, that's going to squeeze things even tighter. If CB East is on your radar, waiting has a cost. So here's how you choose. Start with the only decision that actually matters. Whether you need guaranteed CBE zoning across an entire township, or you're okay with a split township as long as your specific address checks out. If you want guaranteed, Buckingham is the only answer. Every home in the township routes to East. You deal with the higher purchase price, the well and septic, and you get the lowest millage rate in the zone. If you're okay with verifying addresses, then it comes down to what you're buying more of every single day, space or convenience. If you want space, more land, acquired a road, room to breathe, Buckingham and certain parts of Plumstead win. You just decide how much you're willing to spend for it. If you want convenience, quick access to Doylestown, restaurants, museums, the train station, the CB East parts of Doylestown Township become the conversation. Just know the tax bill is coming. If you want that family suburb feel, parks, organized sports, neighborhoods where kids are outside every day, Warwick's CB East side is a strong play. It's often the one that feels most turnkey for a growing family. But whatever you pick, don't assume the address tells the whole story. Verify the school path for every house you're serious about. Now you know the real numbers and trade-offs behind every CB East feeder town, not just which one looks good on Zillow. But here's what most people don't realize next. Central Bucks scores well, but it's not the only district pulling relocating families right now. One Chester County town is giving you a top 5 ranked high school for half the price of the main line. And another town in Delco is about to get hit with back-to-back tax increases that change the math entirely. Watch this video next because I scored every suburb on schools, taxes, commute, and safety, and the rankings are not what you'd expect. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.